PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PACTV Community News, local stories from the South Shore. Tonight we bring you to a Family Fest concert in Duxbury, an arts bazaar on the waterfront, and we meet some actors in an upcoming performance of Legally Blonde at the Company Theatre in Norwell.
PCN brings you an update on the T-Wharf project in Plymouth, and we visit the Veterans Garden to see how it's grown.
We head to the Herring Run in Pembroke to learn about a dangerous plant that's causing serious problems for some people.
Doctor's Orders brings us information on the Zika virus from Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital, and Town Talk is from Plymouth.
It's a great show, but we wanted to begin with some sad news out of Pembroke. James Brown, known to all as Tiny, a local business owner, philanthropist, and automotive enthusiast, passed away on July 27th. He was an icon, a champion for all, and a man whose generous heart and spirit continued with his children and his business, Tiny & Sons Glass, who's our first and continued sponsor and supporter of PCN. For him, for his family, we thank you and offer you this tribute.
But North Pembroke needs a fire station.
It just started, you know, it just kind of, it was something I liked to do, and I liked building hot rods and cars, and at the time I had no money, so you had to go scrounge everything in the junkyard, so.
Because this is a subject that really is in my heart.
Construction continues on the waterfront in downtown Plymouth. It wasn't too long ago that demolition crews were systematically dismantling the old T-Wharf and removing the old piles. Now they're in the process of installing the new pier, and Harbor Master Chad Hunter has nothing but good things to say about the overall process.
In the early spring of 2016, this was the sound you would have heard coming from the T-Wharf demolition project that was underway in downtown Plymouth. The sound of chainsaws was traded in for a somewhat more appealing sound of a vibrohammer that delivers these piles into the ocean floor. The last time we were here, they were pulling the old piles up. This time they're putting the new piles in, and believe it or not, even though it's the middle of summer, right in the heart of tourist season, this really hasn't caused any distractions as far as the day-to-day business operations down here on the waterfront.
The construction company, Robert Biauer, has been really great working with us to make sure there's very minimal impacts on the lobstermen, for example, charter boats. So it's actually been going very smooth. There probably will be some impact coming up. They're going to do some electrical work, which will require cutting into the roadway and running conduit. But even then, they've been very easy to work with, and they'll do sort of half closure so the traffic can still flow through. The lobstermen won't have any issue getting onto the pier here. So they've been really great, and it's very minimal impacts.
Gone is the old dilapidated wharf. In its place, you can see the makings of what will be the new pier. The piles, cross bracings, and uprights are set up in front of woods for what will be an eventual boardwalk.
Once they're finished driving piles, they'll start with concrete work. This will be a concrete topped pier, just like the town wharf. So when they get all their piles in, they'll start doing concrete caps, which will go on top of the pilings, and then they'll actually be pouring the deck itself. So they'll be doing rebar, concrete work. And then probably the finishing touches are going to be, you know, the cleats on the pier, the bollards, the electrical stands, that sort of thing will come towards the end.
Meanwhile, life goes on here at the pier. The commercial fishermen are still bringing in their hauls. Tourist activity and pleasure cruises are still going on almost as if there aren't two giant cranes right in the middle of everything. And that's in large part due to the construction crew's efficiency and ability to somehow fly under the radar.
They've been really good. The contractor's been great working with Woods and the local businesses. Obviously, we were very concerned because some of those pilings are feet from the edge of Woods, seafood. So we were concerned about that, but they've done a great job. They're starting to work away from the building, so we feel as though I don't think there'll be any other impacts as they move out. And they drive the pilings early in the morning to keep away from the busy lunch hours and dinner. So they've done a great job.
So far, construction has been running on schedule and on budget, with the date set for completion in January 2017. Reporting from the waterfront, Brian Sullivan, PCN.
Duxbury Music Festival is in its 11th year this summer, and as usual, it is filled with many wonderful programs for all ages and interests. The South Shore Conservatory is the sponsoring organization, and they put on sophisticated performances over a 2-week period every July at venues from private homes to their infamous tent events. One of the favorites is Family Fest, which is geared toward the younger music fan. PCN stopped by to see more.
Hi everyone, I'm Eve Penoyer. Welcome to Family Fest.
And today we are getting ready to celebrate Family Fest, which is a part of our 11th season of the Duxbury Music Festival.
Well, I think it's wonderful for the community. I've lived in Duxbury for 22 years and I love my home very much. Duxbury is an incredibly vibrant arts community. Family Fest is part of the larger Duxbury Music Festival, which goes on for 2 weeks, the second 2 weeks in July. And this is a really important part of it because we want to make sure we include our youngest citizens too.
Family Fest is designed for families and grandmas and moms and kids under age 8, I would say. And Beethoven's Wig will be the performers this morning. And we'll have about an hour of music followed by instrument petting zoos, face painting, all sorts of activities for the children. And additionally, Foodies has graciously donated hot dogs, water, and 600-pound gorilla ice cream sandwiches for all of our guests today.
Please keep your bull outside the China shop. No bulls allowed. That's where they stop. Right, because it's big. It's very big. Beethoven's Wig is big. All the girls in Paris, France, love to do the can-can dance, kick their legs up in the air, take their derriere, if you go to...
Tying this all together creates a multi-generational experience across the board.
South Shore Conservatory and I are great partners. We both strongly believe in the power of the arts, music, dance, theater, and art, and we believe that starting children off at a young age with these things opens their mind and makes them more creative individuals.
Happy and fun times in Duxbury. And
Yes.
what was that wall that they were drawing on?
It was really cool. It's the first time I've seen it. They have, because I did this story, they had a whole chalk wall and you can pick it, and it's sort of like a communal thing where you write something on the wall and it kind of becomes an art piece itself, the whole wall, and different people contribute or the kids contribute.
Very
so
nice.
It was really
a
nice.
good family event.
It was a lovely family event.
When you first hear the words dangerous wild parsnip, it's easy to laugh it off a little and think of the old movie titled Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Well, we've been assured by Pembroke Conservation Commission member Rick Madden that it's no laughing matter at all. Madden has set up a task force to eradicate this disruptive and dangerous plant, and he explained to us why it's so important that we take it seriously.
Not to be an alarmist, but if you come across this plant in your future travels, don't go anywhere near it. This is known as the wild parsnip, and this biennial produces a compound in its leaves, stems, flowers, and fruits that can cause intense localized burning, rash, severe blistering, and discoloration on the skin on sunny days. Who would have ever thought that parsnip could be deadly? That's one of the root vegetables that we eat in the fall. But it's not this type of parsnip. This is an invasive species that came over from Asia, and it's wreaking havoc on our ecosystem and extremely dangerous to human beings. Even poison ivy is no match for the wild parsnip.
Where poison ivy basically will reach a 5 on a 10 of discomfort and scarring, this will put you in the hospital for 8 months. It reacts with the sun, unlike poison ivy, so you don't know, there's no itching or anything until you're just on fire from the burns. The reaction with the sun is what triggers it, unlike any other plant in this area.
And don't confuse it as something as innocuous as the weeds and roots that grow in your garden or front lawn. These toxic plants have to be taken down in a specific way, like the way he's doing right here to avoid contamination.
This plant resembles Queen Anne's lace, which is a flat top flower that grows anywhere from 4 to 6 feet in the area. So people mistake it and go to pick it because it's a very attractive flower with a chartreuse color that goes to cream. So it's attractive enough where people actually go pick it, not just stumble into it. So you have to know what you're doing when handling this plant, and you have to identify it. What we hope to do is educate people to avoid contact with it.
For several years now, Rick Madden has been the one sounding the alarms about this dangerous plant. And judging by these photos, I can understand why.
The reason that this species is so dangerous is that it causes third-degree burns or worse. It blisters, takes 8 months to heal, and you need to see a doctor and be cared for. Leaves permanent scarring and creates a lack of UV protection in the skin for the rest of your life, leading to a potential of skin cancer.
The wild parsnip invades and modifies disturbed open habitats, much like this area here at Herring Run Park. So even something as seemingly harmless as going for a picnic could turn into a misadventure if you're not aware of the danger of this plant.
I would tell adults to watch their children, be aware of their environment, to educate themselves to what this looks like. It's popping up more and more in the South Shore, and it's very dangerous. It's not something to be scoffed at. This is a very dangerous plant.
A couple of ways to get rid of it once it's been cleared are to either bury it or you can sweat it. And that's where you put it in a barrel filled with water, cap the barrel, and then let it rot out under the sun over a month. Reporting from the Pembroke Herring Run, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Each weekend of the summer, you can find something going on at the Plymouth waterfront. In July, Indigenous artists and musicians from across the globe came together in Plymouth for the Native Arts and Cultures Bazaar. The booths were filled with beautiful and artistic crafts, clothing, and art. PCN met up with the organizer to learn more.
At a Cultural Survival Bazaar at Pilgrim Memorial State Park in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Cultural Survival is an Indigenous rights organization based out of Cambridge, Mass. And we do projects supporting the rights of Indigenous peoples all over the world. One of our programs is the bazaars, and we've been doing these since 1982 in the greater Boston area. It's a celebration of Indigenous arts and cultures. Indigenous peoples tend to be some of the most marginalized groups. And this is just an incredible opportunity to celebrate their cultures, their languages, their traditions, of which many people are unaware until they come to one of these events. We have arts from many different continents. We have wire and bead from Zimbabwe. We have Native American jewelry. We have flutes. We have sculptures. We have pottery and Uzbek paintings that are painted on hundreds of years old paper. So really, we have paintings from Guatemala, really all different types of art. I think a lot of people come to Plymouth and are interested in Plymouth because of its particular history. And so I think it's just such a great opportunity to have this event right here and remember and celebrate and learn about and expose people to the history and the current cultures of Indigenous peoples who were here for thousands of years and still are before the Europeans arrived.
This sculpture that I'm holding, I started doing wire sculptures when I was a boy. It started as a hobby. During my time, toys used to be very expensive, so we used to make our own toys, like your own car. So you fetch coat hangers from anywhere else, then you make your car, then you put a steering, wheels, start driving, so you don't have to bother your parents saying, buy me toys and whatever. So since then, I was good on making these things, as you can see. So I end up getting some requests from people saying, can you make this for me? And I end up making so many things for people. That's when I started doing it as a business. So now, to me, it's a business.
We are very strong supporters of cultural survival because over the years we have found them to be a truly great organization that does what they say. They say they support Indigenous people, they say that they support cultures, and they actually do that work. And we've seen evidence of it on our home reservations. We've seen what they do for people. We've seen evidence of all of the good works that they've done around the world. This is one of those events that it's really great to bring families out. There's something here for little children to learn. There's something here for people who have seen everything in the world. There's going to be pieces that they've not seen before. And every artist that's here loves to talk to people and help educate.
Even if you never saw the movie Legally Blonde, the sequel, or any of its offshoots, you could easily fall in love with a musical stage production. It's filled with an endless string of fun and catchy song and dance numbers that you'll be singing on the ride home once it's over. The musical will be running at the Company Theatre in Norwell through late August and features two young ladies from right here in Plymouth. We stopped by one of their rehearsals to catch up with them.
The next time you want to get a song stuck in your head for days, come to a musical rehearsal. These songs are incredibly catchy. And why shouldn't they be? They tell the story of Elle Woods, the perpetually perky perfectionist blonde, and her quest to win back the love of her life by enrolling at Harvard Law School. At least that's what I remember from the movie when I saw it on a long flight over 10 years ago. Something tells me this will be a little different from the version that I saw. The stage production of Legally Blonde will be vastly different than its cinematic counterpart, and of course that's because it's a musical, and from what I understand, it's a non-stop musical with occasional bits of dialogue in between. Come to think of it, I may have actually enjoyed the movie a lot more had it been designed this way. While the movie itself may not have been spectacular according to the Academy's standards, it's just the type of story that's ripe for a successful musical.
Well, I think you take a movie like Legally Blonde, and it's kind of campy, kind of silly, kind of stupid, and you find the funny humor in that, and it works so well with the musicals. I think that's why they've been doing it so often. This one translates really well.
Ali Abedi is one of two women from Plymouth featured in this production, and while her character didn't appear in the film, she immediately connected with the role.
Yeah, she's a nerd. I'm a total nerd for different things. She's a nerd for like academics and law school. I'm a total theater nerd, and I always felt that way in my group of friends where they were, never knew what I was talking about. I was blabbing on and on about musicals and Broadway, and they didn't care, but loved me anyway, so I totally relate to her.
While Ali Abedi was a Plymouth South High School alumnus, Plymouth North produced actress Katie McLean. We discussed her strengths when it comes to the three things that an actor must be able to do in a musical stage production.
I'd say for me, out of like the three things, I'm probably more of a singer, a dancer, and then an actress. Singing has always been my passion, but then I also love dance. Acting has, for some reason, always been my weakest thing. So luckily, with this character, I've been able to watch the movie, watch the MTV series, and just be able to get little bits and pieces of other people's interpretations of Brooke.
In the short time that I got to see the cast, I was incredibly impressed by the immense talent just watching them rehearse. Hopefully that translates to a strong live performance.
It's a story of girl empowerment, and it's upbeat music, and there's a lot of comedy, and I just hope they take away that it was a fun evening, that they could tap their toes and sing along and remember the songs when they leave.
At the Company Theatre in Norwell, I'm Brian Sullivan, PACTV Community News.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, you guys, oh my God!
Last year around this time, we met with Chris Hart, the CEO of the Nathan Hale Foundation, as he was in the early stages of his pet project known as Three Hearts Farm. At the time, it seemed like a really great idea, but a skeptic would say it was light years away from where Chris planned to take this project. However, skeptics were proven wrong in a most recent visit to the Flourishing Gardens in South Plymouth.
Heading east from the highway on Beaver Dam Road, just off to the right, you'll see this little plot of land abundant with vegetation. A year earlier, you would have seen a lot of dirt and scrubby undergrowth. Stopping by Three Hearts Farm here on Beaver Dam Road 12 months later after our first story, it's just amazing to see how much growth and change has taken place in that short amount of time. Thanks to the hard work of numerous volunteers, veterans, and the endless hours put in by Chris Hart and Diane Ribeiro, this place has gone from dirt pile to garden oasis.
Well, everything you see here, all the vegetables are grown from seed. They're heirloom seeds, which make them sturdier and more resistant to disease. So a lot of them I started indoors. I started the corn indoors in a pretty unique way. I used newspaper pods, seed pods. If you put the seeds in there and the corn grows 5 inches, you can put it outside and get a head start.
And for the corn perimeter, Ribeiro used the Three Sisters planting method, which, according to Iroquois legend, says that corn, beans, and squash are 3 inseparable sisters who only grow and thrive together. This tradition has been widespread among Native American farming societies.
First you plant the corn, and once it gets 5 inches tall, you plant beans around the side, and when the beans sprout, they grow around the corn. And then in the front, you put a vine vegetable, which gives nitrogen back to the soil. And as you can see, that everything's thriving pretty well.
The garden itself was designed to be a source of therapy for veterans suffering from traumatic brain injury, an idea that Hart had years ago and is now finally seeing the light of day.
One of the biggest reasons why you do need garden therapy and nature trails and be able to do things together with your family and other people that share the same interests is it puts your brain in a relaxation mode, like yoga would do, like rock climbing would do. When the brain goes into a relaxation mode, it stimulates the brain cell stems, where someone might have a traumatic brain injury, and that's where a lot of your memory is kept, and it stimulates that. You may gain some memory, but at least you're not spending 65% of your day and your brain being in a survival mode.
Looking around, you can see the new barn, the brick-paved walkway with the low accessible garden boxes, the new plantings of flowers and pea pods and tomatoes, and it's all been a community effort.
We've had, I'd say, $250,000 in local aid and funding and labor from the whole community. Say around 20 different companies have helped with everything. Restoring the barn, putting in the walkways, digging up the road, putting in French drains, and everything's starting to come into place now. And it took a community to do it. It wasn't just all on our own. This is the best community effort project I've ever seen in my life. It's unbelievable how many people have helped.
Reporting from Three Hearts Farm on Beaver Dam Road in Plymouth, Brian Sullivan for PCN.
Don't tell someone they can't do something because they will.
Yes.
Skeptics would have been surprised at how well he did with this whole project. Good for him.
Well, you know how the story came about was Brian was driving by on another story, and he had done the original story, and he drove by the area on another shoot, and he looked over and he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And he's like, do you mind if I do a follow-up? And I said, of course, you know, because it's incredible how far it's been taken. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah. He really moves it ahead.
Yes.
Doctor's Orders is back with Zika information from Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital.
This is PCN Doctor's Orders. I'm Connie Schmidt, the Manager of Infection Prevention and Control at Beth Israel Deaconess Hospital in Plymouth. Today we're going to briefly just discuss the Zika virus. The Zika virus is a virus and it is carried by mosquitoes. It causes a mild illness, and in many cases people do not even know that they have become infected and that they don't have any symptoms. When the symptoms do present, they're very mild, they're very virus-like, so that it's muscles, aches, and pains, and a headache. The one thing that people need to be aware of is that it causes a conjunctivitis in many patients, so that's something to be more alerted for. The big thing with mosquito-borne viruses is that you want to prevent the mosquito bite. The types of mosquitoes that do carry this do come far enough north, but we're not sure whether it's going to be a significant problem because we have such a short season with mosquitoes here in the Northeast. You want to go onto the CDC website, cdc.gov. There's lots of good information about keeping yourself safe from mosquito bites. The other thing is that we want to be sure that people know that if you have been traveling to an area where these mosquitoes are and Zika has been identified, you want to be sure that you check with your physicians before you think about becoming pregnant. You want to make sure that if you have a partner who has been in these areas that you are more concerned, because it is also spread through sexual contact. It's like a bloodborne pathogen. Please be aware that prevention is key for all of this, because commonly we're finding it is the mosquito bites that go ahead and cause much of the problem. So if you have been to an area that has had Zika virus and you come home, please protect yourself against a mosquito bite in order to help prevent, if you did get infected and don't realize it, from continuing on to somebody else. Prevention is the key.
Town Talk this week takes us to Plymouth Town Hall for an update.
Hi, I'm Melissa Riggi, the Plymouth Town Manager. I want to talk a little bit about some of the great things happening this summer. I'm sure many of you have seen the spicy and colorful Adirondack chairs and picnic tables around downtown. Well, pretty soon you're going to be able to see 30 about 5-foot lobsters that many of you have heard about. Those will be on display as well. They're getting great reception. The chairs are, as we look at the different social media, so it seems like people are having fun with it, which is what we wanted, great photo opportunities. We also have some difficulties in the downtown area, as many of you have experienced, as we work on the sewer issue and have to deal with traffic and some of the problems that creates as we're doing construction in the roadways. So please bear with us. The company is doing a great job and moving as quickly as we can. Another exciting thing is some of the waterfront concerts that you're seeing in the downtown at the State Park across from Coles Hill. Please, if you haven't had an opportunity to go to those, please do so. They're fun and a great way to see people, visitors, as well as people from the neighborhood. And we're also welcoming in Shishigahama, Sister City visitors that are coming in. The mayor, as well as his distinguished guests, will be here next week. The Board of Selectmen, as well as some of the other dignitaries from the town, plan on meeting with them. And I think there'll be some social events, as well as some public events that you'll be able to see on local PACTV shows. Finally, in one other issue that's not as positive as we would like, we are instituting a water ban effective immediately. The weather's been wonderful, but with no rain at all, we're having some difficulty keeping up with supply. So anything you can do to comply with no outside water usage, limit it as much as possible, would be appreciated. And next thing, when I see you next, I'll be talking about the budget. We're starting that process now. The numbers are looking good on the cherry sheet that are coming out of the State House, so I think Plymouth will be in fine shape for Fall Town Meeting.
Thanks for watching. Replay times are at our website, along with more information on the show and a form that you can submit a story idea with.
PCN is on YouTube with each story, and join us on Facebook and Twitter for links and updates.
We are excited to announce the launch of a second local news show called PCN Life, which includes our lifestyle segments like Health and Wellness, Design Corner, and Local Eats, as well as longer studio time with our set guests Loretta LaRoche and Leslie Cutler. We will also be able to spend more time with our local musicians with our expanded arts and entertainment segment.
The show has several new additions as well, and debuts right after this show on Thursday nights, starting next week, August 11th.
See you next week for more PACTV community news and PCN Life.